What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a great night, had a great day. Are you guys using an overhead recovery estimating system when you're doing your estimates? If not, you really should be. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about things you need to do to plan out your 2022 landscaping season, and one of them is knowing your numbers. Now, if you guys haven't grabbed our free download, make sure you get in there and grab your guide to planning your 2022 landscaping season. Actually, I'll put the link up here so you guys can grab that. It's a great guide to get you thinking of what went great last year, what didn't go so great, and get your your mind thinking of what you need to work on. We've been talking to a lot of people inside our academy here recently, and they've been talking about, make that link up here for you. We've been talking about numbers and getting your pricing kind of set up for this coming year based on your numbers. And over the past couple of days, we've been talking about some of the numbers you need to know. So let me share my screen with you, show you what I am talking about here. And by the way, I'm Scott Mulchy. I'm the $1 Million Landscaper. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I'm a landscape business coach. Sorry about that. I'm a landscape business coach that helps landscapers like yourself make more profits by understanding their numbers. So let me dive into this sheet here real quick. Excuse me. So last night I was having some issues on this, so I do apologize if you hopped on last night and had a hard time seeing this. Last night we were talking about some of the steps that goes into, or some of the things that go into creating profitable estimates, and one of them is the true labor cost. And we talked about these in some of the past videos. Your true equipment costs, creating an overhead budget. This is so important, and understanding what goes in your overhead. And then once you do that, you're going to create an estimating system based on your numbers, your overhead budget. And this is called an overhead recovery estimating system. So basically what you're doing is you have this entire budget over here. Try to get this down so you guys can see it. Maybe they'll let me move it. So you have your overhead here. And what you're doing is you're taking a percentage of that overhead and you're putting it into each one of your estimates. Now, there's different ways of doing this, different types of estimating systems out there. And some of the main ones I'm going to just cover real quickly tonight is the SOARs, DOORS, MORS, and OPPH. So let's take a look at the SOARs a little bit more. Hide this one here. The SOARs is a single overhead recovery estimating system. So what you're doing is you're taking that overhead you had and you're just taking and creating a percentage based on your overhead and your COGS, and doing some quick math. I'm not going to get into that tonight. And basically you're applying a single percentage to each of your estimates. Yes, it's very easy to do when you're doing that this way. And it's good for some businesses. But the problem is you're applying 1% no matter what if it's a heavy labor job, heavy equipment job, it doesn't matter. So you can kind of get some errors with that there. The next one is DOORS, the dual overhead recovery estimating system. And this one's a little bit better because you're taking and applying percentage over across your materials and labor. And what this sometimes can do is sometimes people can put all their equipment into their overhead. And the issue I have with that is twofold. And we've talked about this in the past, is for one, you're applying just a single percentage to all your jobs for your equipment. And the problem with that is if you have a heavy equipment job, you may not be charging enough. The other issue with putting all your equipment into your overhead is that if you do have multiple services, say you do lawn maintenance and landscaping and snow plowing, you're charging your customers for your snow plowing for your lawn maintenance equipment. You're charging your landscape equipment for landscape jobs for your snow plow and your lawn maintenance equipment. So it doesn't always work out. It could shoot you out of some jobs. But again, the dual overhead is a little bit better because you're applying it, splitting it off over materials and labor. Now, we did this one for many, many years, so it does work. The next one we're going to talk about is the MORS. This one's a multiple overhead recovery estimating system. And again, we're taking that overhead and we're splitting it up a couple different ways. We're splitting it across materials, equipment, and subs, and then labor as well. Now, the materials, the problem, I guess, with the MORS is that it uses some industry standards. So it uses a standard percentage for materials, standard percentage for equipment, and standard percentage for subs. The problem with that is not really, those percentages aren't really based on your numbers. What it does is it kind of lumps it all together, and you have a calculator helps you figure this out, but then it applies it all towards labor. Yes, labor is a big cost for us and it should be applied a little bit more there. But if you have a heavy equipment job, it could cause some issues. So the next other one that we're going to talk about is called the OPPH. This is the overhead profit per hour. Um, this one is based more on your field labor hours. So you have to have a little bit better records on this to kind of understand it. But it's all based on the amount of hours you worked and what you're planning on working the season. But the whole point is I want you guys to start looking into which estimating system you should consider using. But these are some of the core ones that are used in the landscape industry. Now there's a couple other ones out there, but these are the ones that I really recommend. And these are actually the ones we teach inside the $1 Million Academy. Change the screen here. So if you guys have any questions about this, and what type of estimating system you should do, put a comment below. Are you guys using any kind of estimating overhead recovery estimating system, or again, are you just kind of guessing? You're just taking the materials and multiplying by 2, by 3, or whatever it is, or are you just kind of guessing and going off what the competition is doing down the road? And this could really hurt you in the long run. So when people ask people ask the question inside the Landscape Business Owners Facebook group, how much should I charge for this? How much should I charge for that? It's hard for us to answer because it's all based on let me step back. If somebody asks that question, you'll see replies in there. People will say, well, you should know your numbers. You should know your numbers. Well, this is part of this, is all those numbers we're talking about, which is understanding your labor costs, understanding your equipment costs, understanding your overhead. Because then once you have a system, you can charge appropriately to make sure you're recovering all that overhead and not losing money at the end of the year. Because if you're anything like us, you worked your butt off all season long, and then come to the end of the year, you didn't have any money, and you're like, what's going on? I showed a profit on these jobs. I was doing good. Well, you might not have been recovering all your overhead. So it's important to kind of look at your estimating system, look at what you're doing now, and see what you can do better. And I just want to make sure everyone's aware of these different types of estimating systems. And remember, if you've never done anything like this before, don't let perfection get in the way of your progress. Just do it dirty, as we say. It's okay if you don't get it right the first time. You can always go back and fix it later and make adjustments. All right, guys, for more tips like this, or if you're interested in learning more about these types of estimating system, this is stuff we teach inside our $1 Million Academy. And the $1 Million Academy is where we've got training, the tools, and the support for any landscaper who wants to take control of their future and make 2022 the most profitable season yet. All right, guys, I got to get going. I have a monthly live Q&A for our Academy members here in a few minutes, but I just want to kind of hop in here and share this with you guys. Hope you have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.